Hey guys, so I wanted to make a video on something that I mentioned in my, I don't know what I'm going to title it because I haven't edited it yet, but basically my update, coming back, how it's been, whatever, that video. It was in, Ty Lopez, in my garage. And that was real jobs versus not real jobs. If you've ever been hit with this, you're probably a service worker. And something that reminded me to actually get this done today is because I did a big dummy. And I decided to log on to Facebook. Yay! I handled not dealing with all that bullshit for years. And the first post I saw pissed me off. And guess what? It was perfectly about that. I mean, it was like, nobody respects jobs anymore. And it was like listing like electrician, construction worker, and like people like that, and or like truck drivers, things like that. And to an extent, I guess, but those society's ran on fucking truck drivers. Society's ran on a lot of those fucking jobs. And then it was like jobs we do respect that don't do anything for society is what it said. And it was like influencer, TikToker, things like that. It's your stereotypical boomer bullshit. And I would have agreed more with the post if I saw jobs on there that you actively see shit on. Usually independent contractor work, such as Uber driver or DoorDasher. I see them get so much shit. And believe it or not, I get to know a little bit about the other side because currently while I'm out of state, that's what I'm doing to get some money on the pass by, And it makes sense to an extent why people would disrespect something that's supposed to be seen as gig work or a side job. But at the end of the day, I don't, because I don't get along with this real job rhetoric. I used to have a partner in the past whose father would talk about real jobs versus not real jobs because his daughter got a service job back when she was 16, and it's like, what the fuck, what do you want? And he shat on her because of the job that I was in. I was working at Arby's at the time. I was 16 years old. What did you expect? I'm not going to go more on about him. But it's basically service work that gets viewed as a not real job or an unskilled job. Most people, when, the whole minimum wage rhetoric comes around politically and all that shit, people will mention, I don't think a McDonald's worker should be making more than an EMT, this and that, blah, 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 blah. Not considering that if McDonald's workers' wages were raised, then down the road, so would EMTs. And if you're an EMT and you're upset that somebody that you view lesser than you is making more money, then you're just a dick. You're just a dick. And if that happened, you've got so much leverage power as a worker now because you can go to your boss and say, hey, and according to their own logic, they could say, hey, I can go do this unskilled job for more money than I'm making. And you could strong-arm your boss into that. However, I do know that's not how the world works, and a boss is more likely to tell you to go fuck yourself rather than pay you more money. However, it's pretty obvious that if that were to happen, just like it's happened in the past, minimum wage gets raised, so do all these other jobs. If somebody who was making $10 an hour now is making $15 an hour, those jobs that were about $15 an hour probably bump up to about $18, $19 an hour. That's what I saw happen in the 20 teens. A job that I looked forward to back when I was younger that was about, 11 an hour, and it's like, oh, this job will pay you this much. It seemed like a good gig. And then a few years later down the road, whenever I'd see job openings for it, all of a sudden it's paying $16 an hour. You see this happen, You can counter inflation, things like that, but this isn't the topic that I want to go over. It's just that you get a lot of the real job versus not real job rhetoric happening alongside with it. And any job that you're working, and if you're making real money, I consider that a real job. Plain and simple. That's as easy as it needs to be. At the end of the day, when people are describing a not real job, they're just letting you know that the job they're talking about is a job that they just don't respect, which you could always point to people above them who probably don't respect their job either. And at the end of the day, I don't play into any of this shit that gets us to point at our other fellow workers, our other fellow laborers, and shit on them, when at the end of the day, we're all just trying to frickin' make it. And part of this rhetoric is usually complaining about people doing their hobbies, and it's usually done in a very patronizing way. Because if it wasn't, it would be more of a, wow, that's cool. You're able to do that and make real money to pay your real bills. But it's not about that. And I very recently had a conversation with my mother about what do I want to do in life. And I'm not going to put aside the fact that I've told her, business-wise, what my plans are. It's in the furniture building sector. It's a whole thing. I've got a whole backstory. Too much to go on to here. But this is something that she knows. And instead of remembering that, and I guess just going off of that, she asks, you can't really do this Uber thing forever, which I haven't been doing it for that long. But she says, you need to go get a real job. You need to go get, go be an EMT, go do this, go get a government job. While also forgetting I had a government job for a handful of years. It was good paying, but to be honest, I'm making more money doing this than I did when I had a good government job with benefits. The only issue is that I don't have benefits in this sort of job. Now, whether or not it's worth it to give that up for a job is not my matter right here. But when I replied and said, well, obviously I'm not planning on doing this forever. I just need this for money right now before I do the things that I end up wanting to do. And to which she said, oh yeah, you want to do your hobby, which is funny because the job that I want to do is not my hobby. I might have fun doing it, but it's definitely not a hobby. But again, it's this disrespectful talking down tone that people will have towards jobs that they just don't respect. Because if you were to know the person that I'm talking to, my mother has had a not real job her entire life up until just recently this year. And to me, it just comes across as the stereotypical atheist, such as myself, or a person who goes vegan, or a person who quits smoking, and then usually they are the most annoying people about smoking, or the most annoying people about your diet, or the most annoying people about your religion. And atheist, before you snap, I know exactly what you would say, because I would say the same thing, and I actually would still say the same thing right now. I'm just making a point, so shut up! Love you. But it's this, when you get out of a certain, when you level up, so to speak, you're a smoker your whole life, and then you quit smoking. It's usually that type of person, although not always, that is the one to kind of cigarette splain their friends and bring up like, dude, it's so easy to do this, you need to do this, you need to, and this is like a phenomenon, and I totally get why people do it. It's not unnatural. That truck is loud as freaking hell. And yes, I'm not going to cut this out. You're going to wait along with me. We're both in this together. Oh, that's a street sweeper. Maybe he's turning around. Oh well, either way, I'm pretty sure you can hear me. Like I said, these are going to be a little bit lower quality, but I want to get out videos. And so, haha, this is what you get. Deal with this on. And since my mother has now gotten a really good job, I'm pretty sure she's just coming from this place of she's leveled up, and so she wants to kind of describe how to get that through. And okay, so quick cut. That truck came back around, and I cut what I just said. So basically, I think she's just coming from that place of she's leveled up, and she thinks she's being caring. And although if I did point out the message in what she's saying, she's the type of person, like a lot of people who talk like this, saying, sorry, I'm using the wrong word. It's the wrong words. Don't shame me. I didn't pick the right words. Hold up that window. I'm not picking the right words. And it's like, well, you are, because you are, you're giving a reflection of how you feel inside about the matter. It's not the first time I've talked to somebody who, job shames. Lots of people do it for lots of different careers. It's why you hear whenever minimum wage talk is on the books, it's all of a sudden, oh, so a janitor's going to make as much as a this, or a bus driver is going to make it. And it's always bringing up a job that is viewed as not good, not a real job. And remember, not a real job is just code word for a job that I disrespect as a person. And they bring those jobs up because they expect you to disrespect that job. And so they're expecting it to be a gotcha, like, Damn it, they're right. I don't want these shitty janitors who do nothing but mop all day long and clean up poop and, make sure everything's squeaky clean for us and usually work late, long shifts at night, and they usually actually have college degrees, and they usually actually, work really long hours, and they're usually on the elderly side, and forget them, they don't keep society up at all. And so, damn, they got me. I don't want him having minimum wage, or I don't want him having a higher minimum wage. Hell no. And I'm just sick of this fucking rhetoric. At the end of the day, if you're putting in a 40-hour work week, you deserve money. You deserve benefits. You deserve to be viewed as a valuable worker for what you are. You deserve to be seen for your real job that you have. If you're making real money, that's it. That's a real job. Because if I don't have real money, guess what? Or if I don't have a real job, I guess I'm going to be paying my bills with not real money. Those types of people wouldn't like it. And these are the same people who end up using services like Uber and DoorDash to get their food. And at the end of the day, you shit on Uber. Delivery driving has been a real job for a long time. Spider-Man did it. Come on, give my man some credit. I might be the next Spider-Man. How cool is that? But you can think about anything. Give me an example of what you consider as a not real job, if you believe that. And I guarantee any job you'll say is going to be something that's low paid, and that you believe should still be low paid, and something that you just don't respect as a real job. And you'll get the people who say, well, no, I respect that job. I just don't think it's worth this much money. I think it's unskilled. And at the end of the day, when they bring up unskilled labor, they always bring up a fucking McDonald's. But have you ever been to one? I haven't been to one in years, but damn, that drive-thru is slammed. And yes, I know it's slow as shit. And guess what? I would be slow as hell if I was making shit money. If I was making shit money, I'd be slow as hell too. But this idea of unskilled labor too, that's another thing. They don't say that and never bring up, the old ladies and men that work at the DMV or the county clerks where they're taking customer after customer, updating their fishing license, or giving them new tags for their license plate, or even giving them those newer cool tags where it's got like Dolly Parton on the back if you're in Tennessee. But it's always a specific job with a specific age group. Be mindful of that. When you're talking about a job that you don't consider real, consider what demographics fit into that. And then see maybe there's something going on. Maybe there's something else besides the job. And the unskilled labor thing, I don't get. I don't believe that fast food is unskilled. I worked it when I was 16, and guess what? It takes some skill and it takes some practice to get down good. It's why we can look at a certain McDonald's and say, wow, they're not working. This McDonald's is shit versus this McDonald's is better. Guess what the difference is, fellas? Skill! You might not respect it as a skill, which goes back in. It's just jobs we disrespect. At the end of the day, that's the whole rhetoric of it all. Anytime you hear minimum wage come up, and it goes down the rabbit hole of not a real job or unskilled labor, it's just disrespected work. And it's usually work that the person relies on for their daily commute or their daily frickin' meal or something like that. And it's oh so sweet irony. You ever been to a fast food restaurant? You can say Starbucks. Just think about a chain that already exists that is getting a new store. Now, with this, what they usually do is they usually pick sometimes managers, sometimes really good workers, sometimes really good trainers from other stores around the area to come in and then train the new portion of workers that are going to be working there. But also during the first month in the grand opening, they're going to have the people who have already been working at Starbucks for a while to man that. So if you've ever gone to a fast food chain that it has a grand opening and it's a chain that already exists, it's running smooth and it's busy as hell because it's a grand opening. And then have you ever gone to a restaurant that's brand new, just opened, it's the first one of its chain? What is it like most of the time? Slow as hell. The workers have not got down the cycle yet, and they haven't been trained by people who do have that cycle yet. It might be people who have worked the restaurant business and cooked that type of food before, but it's a new environment. It's a new setup. Maybe your muscle memory as a saute cook is you pull this pan from right here, you know exactly where all your ingredients, you're boom, 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 you're getting it out. But you're in a new environment where all the tools, all the utilities, everything that you use is in a different place, and so it doesn't run as smooth. And then you notice after a couple months, that chain will get better because they master the skill of that job. But you go to a chain that, like, let's say Arby's or Starbucks, that they already exist, but it's just a grand opening at a new location. It's running smooth most of the time because it's been trained by workers who know that system. It's been trained by workers who have gained that skill. And it's usually at grand openings, for someone who's worked at Arby's before, and I know how it goes when they have grand openings for new locations, a good portion of the workers on that grand opening day, because they'll do a deal, they'll be like, everyone who comes gets 2 free junior roast beefs with their meal, blah, 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 so they get people coming in. Or like back in the day, y'all remember back in the day, Wendy's, they used to give out that little thing that you had on your key ring, and it was free Frosties for life. I used to have one. Now it's gone. And so if you have one, please send it to me. I'll give you my address, but only if you prove that you got it. But they usually have a portion of the workforce of the workers that are there, usually from other restaurants, and usually good workers. It's usually not going to be a bunch of new people from this Starbucks and that Starbucks and the other Starbucks. It's going to be well-trained people. Sometimes an assistant manager from here, assistant manager from there. And so you see the difference between a skilled place and a non-skilled place. And then we call the jobs that we disrespect unskilled labor. It's another dehumanizing tactic. It's another political fucking jumble that we just shoot out of our mouths without actually critically thinking about it. You know? Part of this channel that I wanted to be is think critically about little things. Whether or not you agree we deserve minimum wage because maybe you understand economics in a certain way and you're afraid of this, but we could solve the problem by doing this, whatever, that's not the topic I want to debate. I know I've mentioned it a little bit, and if you want to debate what I've said on that, sure, fine, go in the comments below. But I do want to state, if that's what you are going to call me out on, that the main message of this episode is this idea of not real jobs we disrespect, and unskilled labor, jobs we just disrespect. Because the same people that tout that type of shit are the same people that know the different. They'll usually bring up a specific McDonald's. They usually bring up, like, yeah, every time I go to the McDonald's, they get my order wrong, and you think that they deserve $15 an hour? You just think they deserve this? You think they deserve that? They get my order wrong every time. Imagine if you went to a surgeon and, they botched your surgery this many times out of 10. And so, like, in that statement, they're aware of a restaurant that has lower skilled workers, or what they'll call lazy workers. And at the end of the day, they're describing a job where everyone's got a low skill, whether it's because they're lazy, whether it's because they want to bullshit, or whether they just aren't good at it and they just need a buck. I'm not even going to get started on a system that doesn't put us in places where where it focuses on our strengths and away from our weaknesses, and has us all in the right places. And sure, yeah, I get it, that does seem like a utopia, but we could strive for something like that. And that same person who's aware of that unskilled place that they'll mention, they'll never bring up places that they go. Maybe it's a Jason's Deli, or maybe it's the janitor that works at their Ashurian headquarters down in Nashville. And it always looks clean in there. Floors are sparkly clean. They're working all the time. They're cleaning everything. Or maybe house cleaners. We disrespect house cleaners too. That's not viewed as a real job. Insert a bunch of, slightly racist comments about hotel workers. Things like that. I think anybody working in this country, full-time or not, deserves a freaking livable wage. And here's where I am going to get on that tangent, actually. And even part-time, I'll go a step further. That sounds kind of crazy. Part-time and still being able to live on it? We used to have it that way in this freaking country. Yet we respect certain people who make 100 times, thousands of times more than what these janitors make, with doing even less work. So our priority isn't on how skilled they are. Our priorities aren't actually in how much that they contribute. It's how valuable is their contribution. Is this person creating jobs? Is this CEO doing this? You know, whether or not this is true, I heard one time. And because I say whether or not it's true is because my point doesn't stand or fall based on it. But I'm going to bring it up because it's probably going to remind you of a job that you know of, or a buddy that you know who has, quote, a bullshit job. And you can read that book. I haven't read it yet, but I do want to. But check it out sometime. Or at least check out the author of the book, talking about it on YouTube. But I remember hearing a while back, there's a guy who makes like $487,000 working for Apple, and all he does for the entire year is sift through different pictures, finding how he wants the logo to look. Well, not the actual Apple logo, but like how the graphics on one of their like ads or their updates looks, and that's all he works on is like a graphic for their updates, and he makes like that much money. And like I said, whether or not that's true, because I'm not harping on that, but you know of the type of work where you don't really do much. Some people just own the piece of paper. Some people just own the company, and they're paid such an exuberant amount of money. And so if it's really about low skill, if it's really about, you know, how much they work hard, there's tons of people that they should also believe don't deserve a minimum wage either. But they usually don't go there. And not like I would want to take away any more of their money. I just want us to rise above this. And I want to rise above disrespecting jobs that usually a handful of your family members have or have at least had. You know? And it just sucks. Because it gets muddied up by this language. Not a real job. I don't think anybody can give me a pure example of not a real job. Hell, the closest thing that I could think that I would have said way in the past was that person who stands at the door of hotels and opens the door. But you know what? That's the that's the first face of the hotel that you see. All these fancy fucks who go to these 5-star hotels, holds the door open for them, treats them like royalty. Probably gets paid shit. But guess what? The hotel doesn't need that. People can open their own doors at the end of the day. But guess what? The hotel chooses to have that. Because the people who run the hotel, they see a value in having that man there. And yet they don't see it as a value enough to help the man out, help his own value. Regardless of what your political beliefs are, at the end of the day, the only thing I hope to change here and in this video, or help change in at least one person, is if you're somebody who's against the minimum wage, I'd be fine if we just disagreed on that. But at least hold your position with something else other than just disrespecting people's jobs. I've heard lots of great, I almost said ecological. I've heard great economic arguments and points for why the minimum wage would suck. And they don't ever have to bring in that, oh, this person, a bus driver making as much as an EMT. My question is, why is an EMT only making that much? I want them all to get a higher pay. I want the firefighter to get a higher pay. I want the nurse. I want the EMT. I want the bus driver. I want the doorman. I want the janitor to all get a higher pay. Because, you know, as humans and citizens in this country, we've all known the struggle. We've all known some sort of struggle in our life. Some of us have some sort of social safety net. Some of us don't. And if you're lucky enough to be one of those who do, count your blessings. But jeez, when getting into this minimum wage conversation, stop disrespecting people's jobs. Because guaranteed, whatever you do, I could probably pick apart why anybody should disrespect your job, and actually why you probably deserve less money. Either way, leave a comment. What'd you think? Shit on me. Don't poop on me, though. And have a great day. Hey, I wanted to add one more thing that I forgot to mention and kind of hit on. I'm so sorry. That's so like me. I'm gonna come back. I'm gonna add something. A whole second half to this frickin' video. Also, I learned a couple things while recording this video. Again, like I said, I'm dropping the quality. I'm using my phone, but I'm also learning a little bit, of a difference between recording with my phone and recording with my old setup. Number one, I need to get better at looking at the frickin' lens. It's here, it's not here. I can see my face right here because I've got the Z Fold. I can flip my phone up and I can actually like see my face on the front screen after it's unfolded and everything, while still using the back camera with the flash, as you can see. But also, number two, I need to stop wiping my freaking thumbs over the mic. Remember that. I also got this nifty little thing, and so that I can fit my fold whenever it's unfolded, I got like a little tablet mount. And so there should be no more issues with audio quality, since my hands will never get near it. I'm also going to remember to turn this freaking crap off. Not sure where I'm going to put this, but I might just put this at the end. So in case you're wondering why I just changed subjects really quick before the outro, I'm sorry. I'm really sorry. But I wanted to add a little tidbit that goes off as something I said at some point in the video. So with unskilled labor, and I mentioned at one point that these people are very much well aware of skilled versus unskilled labor in those jobs that they disrespect. It's why they'll bring up, whenever they bring up a McDonald's that they don't think deserves this much money, they'll bring up a McDonald's that usually has unskilled workers. Like, oh, they messed up my order 9 out of 10 times, and they're slow as hell, and I had to get this fixed 5 times. So they're well aware of that. But we only bring up unskilled labor when it comes to the bottom part of the worker spectrum. Those jobs that are like the janitor, the doorman, the bus driver, things like that. When in reality, there's unskilled labor across the whole spectrum. There's unskilled billionaires who screw up their daddy's money a lot. But that is just a mistake in a bankruptcy, whatever. But we only want to focus on the unskilled labor right here. And again, it's just always focusing and using that unga boonga part of your brain to shit on jobs that you don't respect as jobs. Workers and people that you don't respect as workers and people. And so, since it's election year, when it eventually comes around talking about minimum wage and stuff, if you're one of those people that are against the minimum wage hike, look up some examples. I guarantee it, just like how I could probably look up some examples as to why the minimum wage should be $39.99, you could look up why the minimum wage shouldn't go up, and you're gonna find articles, you're gonna find reasons. You can find an economist saying this is good while this is bad. You can find an economist saying, oh, this is good while that is bad. And so at least look up those things. The talking points do exist. See if you fall in line with them. Maybe you actually don't when you look into it, and the only thing that was holding you back was this disrespect. Makes it a lot easier to hold a position whenever it's held on emotions. That's why looking through them is so important, and thinking, does this follow even whenever I think about it in this light or in this sector? Do I only feel about this when it's billionaires? Or do I only feel about this whenever it's McDonald's workers? So when this rhetoric comes around eventually, it is January right now at the time of recording, and most likely posting it by the end of January, hopefully mid-February. Refrain from this real job versus non-real job rhetoric. Focus on those points. Focus on the economic points. Because guaranteed, you can be talking with somebody who's for the minimum wage or against the minimum wage that is probably really stupid on the topic. You'll find people that are really smart. And so if you're trying to debate your nephew about why the minimum wage is a bad idea, why don't you come to the Thanksgiving table with some good points that actually might make him consider? Because I guarantee if you're coming to your family members with, I don't think McDonald's workers should make this much, they're not going to listen to you. They're not going to take you seriously, because it's just an emotional argument that you're using, and it just shows a message of your disrespect. When at the end of the day, we've all had that job, and we've all been there. We've all been screamed at somebody while working the shittiest job for the lowest pay. And while I would not wish that on anybody, sometimes it happens and sometimes we need it. And at the end of the day, I love having Starbucks and Arby's and all these places. I would never want to get rid of them. And that's something that people will always bring up. It's like, if you don't like the pay, go get another job. It's essentially, if you don't like it here, move out of the country. At the end of the day, I don't want them to move out of my country. I don't want them to get a new job. If they enjoy making coffee, they enjoy being a barista, whether it's a Starbucks or like some cool little hipster cat coffee lounge, I'd rather them work there and make my coffee, because I love that shit. I would never want to get rid of it. And I don't know why you would want that either. Or unless the reality of that, want them to leave, is you'd rather have somebody in there that is more easily exploited. Someone who's not going to clap back. And I don't know why I would wish for that situation at all. Usually when you find out from your boss you're getting a raise, what do? Do you get upset? Do you start crying about how, oh my gosh, inflation's going to start, I just got a raise? And I know that's a little unfair, because what people are meaning when minimum wage hike is going to cause inflation, they're meaning when it's a countrywide thing where millions and millions of Americans are going to get, a wage hike. They're going to, there's going to be more money in the pot. And so, people are naturally going to charge more for their products, which doesn't mean that we're going to automatically still be buying those products. What would happen if the pen that you usually buy for work went up from $4 up to $45? Chances are you probably wouldn't buy that pen anymore. The logic still applies to the $80 Taco Bell burrito that people worry about. But usually whenever you get a raise, you find out your mom got a raise and it's going to help her, pay for her insulin or something, or maybe your daughter got a raise and it's going to help her finally pay off that car, or help her, get in that apartment, or possibly even darker, it's going to help your daughter get out of an abusive relationship. We're usually happy about that. We're happy about more money. But I think the big point is, and I'm going to be fair to the other side's rhetoric, they're worried about it, especially in the libertarian light, they're worried about it in the sense of a government mandate, making it a law. We shouldn't be forcing them to pay something. The business owner should make that decision. But at the end of the day, my principle lies in the microcosm and the macrocosm. I'm fine with a mandate of higher pay, because I love finding out that I'm going to be making more money. I love finding out that my buddy's got a raise and now he can finally get that, that kayak that he wants to buy. Or maybe he'll be able to take his kid to a different school because they can move to another wherever. It's usually a good thing. And sometimes things get in the way when we want good things to happen. And so look through history at some of the rights you have that your great-great-grandparents didn't have. You know what it took? It took the government. I'm not here to try to bootlick the damn government, but I'm just saying at some point something's got to change. And I'm just fingers crossed hoping that this year, when the topic comes back up again, I can argue with actual economic points, and I don't have to worry about having to defend people's skill or what people dictate as not a real job, because it just wastes time on the real discussion at hand. And I like discussions that actually change people's minds on topic. And if you disrespect a job, chances are you're not going to change your mind on that. And if you do respect a job, chances are they're not going to change your mind to disrespect that job. So at the end of the day, bring things people aren't prepared for. Do your research and do it pretty well. Look up how to study. Because at the end of the day, we don't do research. What we do is we study other people's research. I'm not kidding. Go look up some grad students YouTube channel that teaches you how to place your notes and all that other whatever fluffy shit. And find a video that they have that goes over studying, that goes over research methodology. Brush up on that and then look into these topics that you want. It helps out so much. I've changed my mind on so many topics just from changing how I research things, or how I study things. I'm trying to get better at using that rather than saying research, because I'm not actually doing the research, I'm just studying other people's research, so to speak. Whenever you research, whenever you're studying a topic and then you're looking through these, papers that have already been peer reviewed, or you've got ones that haven't yet, and you've got this is what the NAPC, APO, PPPPP found. You're just studying other people's research. And so getting a better handle on those skills, and even if you've already done it, every other year or so, I like to brush up on something that helps me learn. And usually that's one of the things I go back to. Or maybe I go into, comprehensive reasoning skills or critical thinking skills, things like that. And I know it sounds kind of stupid and kind of dumb, but for me, it's what helps me kind of brush the dust out of my head. And so looking into that, finding out what you really feel about this, look at both sides. Look at what both of them are saying. I can't tell you how many times my mind has changed from getting out of my echo chamber, listening to what the other side was actually saying, and not these stupid surface level arguments like disrespecting jobs or not disrespecting jobs, but like, hey, here's the points at hand. Here's what this would cause. Here's the pros of it. Here's the cons. And then here's what this side is saying of here's the pros, here's the cons. Little secret tip. Life is a lot like dice. It's random, and there's at least 12 sides. If you got 2 of them, there's not only 2 sides. And so do that, do your due diligence, and bring something that might change someone's mind. Bring something new. And I'm expecting some of you to do the same for me. And if you get me intrigued, if you point out something that I'm like, damn, I didn't think about that, I'll be the first one to admit it on here. Because it feels good. Oh, baby, it feels good! I don't know why. I'll give an example. Something that I changed my mind on recently. And I'm still looking into it, but my mind goes back and forth sometimes. That's natural as you find new information or as you find new evidence. And guess what? Sometimes you're going to be wrong. And it's great to admit you're wrong because now you're just a step closer to being right. But something I changed my mind on recently as in like in the past 6 months, is the idea of taxing billionaires for the purpose of funding policies. Okay? Now, I'm not against taxing billionaires, but in terms of funding policies that we need, I don't necessarily rush to, when people ask how are we going to pay for it, I don't rush to taxing the billionaires. Learning more about, our currency, and if you want some info, look into MMT or MMC, Modern Monetary Theory. Yeah, Modern Monetary Theory or some shit like that. I'm still looking into it, and so I could change my mind back, or I could change my mind to something else than I am right now. But if you stay up on these things, it should keep your mind moving. It'll, flexing that freaking muscle. You're not literally doing that, but you know what I mean. And so instead of funding policy by taxing the billionaires, I don't rush to that anymore. I'm actually now looking into things of, well, where do we usually fund policy? I actually learned recently that, our roads, we think of like, oh yeah, it comes out of our taxes, this and that. I learned that it comes from a portion in what we pay in gas is what ends up going to the roads. And usually whenever you study better, you don't just learn something new about the topic that you're learning, you learn something new that are in other pools of topics. And then sometimes those things change your mind on something else. And to me, I love that. It's so fun. I'm like, damn, that is cool. And so I want to inspire you to do the same. Go look up and it might make you feel stupid. It made me feel stupid trying to find that fucking simple video on here's how to do better study or here's how to take better notes. But I promise you, you're going to look, oh, so cool when you do it. And you're going to feel good. But do that. Come with the goods. Let me know down below what you think about anything in this video. I know I did say I didn't want this to be about minimum wage, but I got on a little bit of a rant, and so I'm sorry for being dishonest about that earlier. I am adding this in, and we're going to be talking about a little bit of minimum wage. So I'm going to go back on I'm going to keep it in, but I'm going to go back on what I said about like leaving a comment on that. But just know that the main point of this video is disrespecting jobs, which I still think it is, but conversation's open, conversation's done. Let me know what you think, and let me know something that I might be missing. Naturally, we've got blind spots. Go read The Skeptic's Guide to the Universe. If you can find a free PDF, read the first and second entry of the book. Our brain is very stupid sometimes. It's why a simple optical illusion can throw it completely out of whack. And so just remember, don't overestimate yourself too much. And I'm just going to leave it at that. I think I've said enough. and I'd love to know what you think down below. Here's to the outro.
With your eyes.